What would you do if the woman you married, the mother of your kids, looked you in the eyes and told you she never stopped loving someone else? I used to think infidelity was something that happened in soap operas. You know, those late afternoon TV shows my mom used to watch when she folded laundry. Love triangles, passionate betrayal, dramatic music cues, stuff that seemed too far-fetched for real life. But real life doesn't come with warning music. It sneaks up on you. Kicks you in the gut while you're still holding the grocery bags. Let me back up. My name's Brian. I'm a construction foreman in Ohio. I've got a bad back, a half-finished deck, and a heart that used to be whole. My wife, well, ex-wife now, her name is Tara. We were together for 12 years. Married for 10. 2 kids, Caleb and Josie. Good kids. Smart. Kind. Caleb likes video games and anything that explodes. Josie still thinks unicorns are real and makes me pinky promise not to tell Santa when she forgets to brush her teeth. They're my world. And Tara? She used to be my whole damn galaxy. We met the classic way, mutual friends, summer bonfire, too many beers. She wore this faded Bowie shirt and kept trying to convince me that the Killers were better than Springsteen. I told her that was blasphemy. She laughed, said I talked like a blue-collar dad from a movie. She wasn't wrong. From the outside, we were your standard American couple. Mortgage. 2 cars. PTA meetings. Arguments about dishes. Sunday pancakes. The whole deal. But here's the thing, I didn't know my wife. Not really. It started with the reunion. Our high school was throwing this 15-year thing. I didn't care to go, never been the nostalgic type. But Tara? She was weirdly excited. Started trying on dresses 2 weeks ahead. Kept checking the RSVP list online, smiling to herself like a teenager. You gonna tell me who you're hoping shows up? I joked one night while she twirled in front of the mirror. She smiled, a little too wide. Just curious to see who got fat. That's all. I should have known then. The night of the reunion, she wore this green dress I'd never seen before, tight in all the right places. Hair done up, new perfume. She looked incredible. But the look in her eyes? That was for someone else. I noticed it when we got there. She kept scanning the crowd. Ignored old friends. Barely introduced me to anyone. I felt like a damn coat rack next to her. Then I saw him. Tall. Tan. Confident. Wearing a suit like he wasn't trying too hard. His name was Danny Blake. I didn't go to school with Tara, but I'd heard the name before. He was the high school quarterback. The kind of guy girls wrote about in diaries. The kind of guy who peaked at 17, except Danny didn't peak. He just paused. He walked up and hugged her like they hadn't skipped a beat. And for a second, I swear to God, she melted into him. Danny, she said, all breathy. Still remember my name, huh? He grinned. They talked for 20 minutes. I stood there like a lamp. That night, back at home, she was quiet. Kept smiling to herself. I asked what was up, and she said, "It was just nice seeing old friends." Then she went to bed early. And my stomach dropped for the first time. The morning after the reunion, Tara was humming. Not just in a good mood, she was glowing. Like something inside her had been flipped on. She made coffee, made breakfast, even joked around with the kids. I should have been happy. But there was this tightness in my chest I couldn't shake. She hadn't looked at me like that in years. And then it began. Little changes. Her phone, which she used to leave on the kitchen counter, now stayed glued to her hip. Face down. Always locked. She started hitting the gym again. New leggings, fancy water bottle, body pump, classes that ran late into the evening. I told myself it was good. She was taking care of herself. Maybe trying to spice things up. But she didn't want to spice things up with me. 2 weeks after the reunion, I saw her name pop up on my phone in the truck while I was at work. Tara, can you pick up the kids? Meeting ran late. It wasn't the message that bugged me, It was the location tag Apple automatically attaches when you share messages. I didn't even realize it was on. The pin wasn't at her office. It was at a Starbucks off Route 9. A good 30 minutes from where she was supposed to be. No big deal, right? Meetings happen. Except, I had a hunch. I waited 2 days. Then checked her laptop, the one she never used until recently. She'd made a rookie mistake. iCloud was still logged in, syncing her messages. The name Danny Blake popped up like a punch to the gut. The first message I read? Danny. Seeing you again, it brought everything back. Then, Tara. I've thought about you so many times. I used to dream about what would have happened if we stayed in touch. I stopped reading. Closed the laptop. Sat there staring at the wall while Josie danced in the living room to a Disney song. That was the moment I knew I was living in someone else's love story. And I was the side character. Tara and I met in our late 20s. I was already working construction, saving for a house. She was finishing her master's in education. I thought we found each other at just the right time. But I didn't know about him. Turns out, she and Danny had been inseparable from 3rd grade on. Best friends. High school sweethearts. The whole cliched. We grew up together and planned our lives. Kind of thing. He broke her heart when he moved to California for college. Told her long distance wouldn't work. She cried for months. Swore she'd moved on. Then I came along. The rebound that lasted a decade. The stable choice. The plan B. That night, after I put the kids to bed, I sat on the porch and just stared at the stars. Tried to count the ways she changed. Her laugh wasn't mine anymore. Her smile curved sideways like it used to when we first dated, but it hadn't done that for me in years. I heard her come out behind me. I didn't turn. You okay? She asked, sitting beside me. I nodded. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You've been quiet lately. I thought about saying it. I know. I know about the messages. I know about the Starbucks. I know you never stopped loving him. But I stayed quiet. Because the thing about betrayal is, once you say it out loud, you can't ever pretend again. A few days later, she told me she needed space. Wanted to take a weekend trip, alone. Just to clear my head. She said. To think. I didn't ask where. She didn't offer. But I knew. So I did something I'm not proud of. I followed her. Not like a stalker. I waited until she left, then checked the iPad, location services. Her phone pinged at a cozy little bed and breakfast 3 hours away. I drove. Parked across the street. Waited. And when he showed up, Danny, with his button-up shirt and smug smile, I felt nothing. No rage. No shock. Just confirmation. I watched them check in together. Her hand slipped into his. She looked younger. Lighter. Like I'd been holding her back from the life she really wanted. I didn't confront her that night. Didn't bang on the door. I drove home. Sat in our empty kitchen. Looked around at the family photos, the refrigerator covered in drawings, the cereal bowls still in the sink. And I cried. Not because she cheated. But because somewhere, deep down, I think I always knew. I was never the man she truly wanted. I've seen grown men lose limbs and keep walking. I've seen guys fall off ladders, wipe off the blood, and crack a joke while waiting for the ambulance. But nothing, and I mean nothing, hits harder than realizing the woman sleeping next to you dreams about someone else. That weekend after I saw her and Danny at the bed and breakfast, she came back all sunshine and clarity. I feel better, she said, setting her bag down like she'd been at a yoga retreat. I just needed time to figure things out. I asked her how the weather was. She smiled. Perfect. Just what I needed. And just like that, the lice slithered into our home. I watched her cook dinner like nothing happened. She danced around the kitchen with Josie, humming some song from her high school days, probably one she and he used to slow dance to. And I played along. Because now I wasn't trying to fix things. I was studying them, documenting them, becoming a ghost in my own life, haunting the ruins of a marriage I used to believe in. She didn't notice the shift in me. She thought she had me beat. That I was still the fool she married, too trusting to see the signs, too dull to imagine another man inside her heart. She didn't realize I'd already buried the love. The funeral happened that night. I watched her slip into that inn with Danny. Everything since then? Just the wake. I started journaling, if you can believe that. A grown man in steel-toe boots and a flannel, scribbling his feelings like some brooding teenager. Entry number 1. Tara smiled in her sleep tonight. Whispered something I couldn't catch. But it wasn't my name. Entry number 5. She wore perfume again. Not the one I bought her last Christmas. Something floral. I found the bottle. It was called First Love. Entry number 9. Josie asked why Mom's always texting. Said she hides her phone under her pillow now. The cracks got wider. One night she made spaghetti, her peace offering, dinner. Poured me a glass of wine. Set candles on the table like she was trying to play house with a cardboard cutout of our marriage. I let her talk. She told me how much she appreciated me. How lucky she was. How hard life had been lately. I chewed slowly, listening. Nodding. Then she said it. I want to reconnect. I set down my fork. Reconnect? I asked. She reached across the table. Touched my hand. I think we should try, being close again. That word, close, hit me wrong. Like she was offering charity. Like she thought giving me sex would buy her forgiveness for whatever came next. So I leaned in, smiled, and I lied. Yeah. Let's try. We went upstairs. She kissed me like she was trying to erase something. She moaned like she was performing. And when it was done, she cried. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? I asked. She shook her head. I don't know. But she knew. We both did. Danny's name didn't come up after that. Not once. But he was there. In the way she jumped when the phone buzzed, in the way she checked the front window like she was waiting for someone else to pull in. And eventually, I got tired of waiting for the next betrayal. I started planning my exit. I met with a lawyer downtown. Told her everything. She said it was one of the cleanest cases she'd seen in a while. Do you want to fight for custody? She asked. I nodded. Everything I do is for those kids. And her? I thought for a second. I want her to see what she destroyed. Nothing more. That night, Tara came home late. Said she'd been catching up with an old friend. I poured myself a drink. Danny? I asked casually. Her face went pale. Like I'd just read her diary aloud in church. What? I asked if it was Danny. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then tried to smile. You're being paranoid, she said. No, I said, sipping slowly. I'm being observant. There's a difference. She stormed off. And I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I'd finally stopped being afraid of the truth. There's a moment in every demolition job when the building gives. You hear it first, a groan in the beams, a snap in the foundation, and then the whole thing shifts. Doesn't matter how strong it looked. Once the core's cracked, it's coming down. That's what happened the day she slipped. It was a Tuesday. I came home early from the job site. My crew was waiting on a shipment, so I figured I'd surprise the kids with ice cream after school. Something normal. Something good. But as I pulled into the driveway, I saw Tara's car. Strange. She was supposed to be at work until 5. I walked in quiet. Years of job site habits taught me how to step soft, breathe shallow. The house was too quiet. And then I heard it, her laugh. Not the fake one she used with clients, or the forced chuckle she gave me when I told a dumb dad joke. This one was different. Loose. Warm. Familiar. I followed the sound to the kitchen. She was on a video call. Didn't see me yet. On the screen? Danny. His shirt was off. Tara, he said, grinning. You always were a sucker for dimples. She giggled like a damn teenager. Still got quarterback. And I stood there, sweaty, tired, still wearing my steel toes, watching my wife flirt with the ghost of her past like I didn't exist. Then she saw me. She gasped. Slammed the laptop shut so hard it bounced. Brian, Jesus, you scared me. I didn't flinch. Just nodded toward the table. Having a good call? She tried to play it cool. It was nothing. Just catching up. We were talking about old teachers. I smiled. Mr. Jenkins must have looked good shirtless. She froze. Eyes wide. Guilt written all over her like a confession in Sharpie. It's not what you think. I took a step forward. Calm. Steady. It's exactly what I think, Tara. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then, finally, the truth cracked out of her. Okay. Fine. Yes. We've been talking. But it's not like that. I tilted my head. Talking. With your blouse unbuttoned? He understands me. She snapped, tears welling up now. He knows me, Brian. He always did. And there it was. The truth. The real wound beneath the marriage bandage. He was my first everything. She whispered. My first kiss. My first love. My first heartbreak. I never got closure. I nodded slowly. So you married me instead. She didn't deny it. Just whispered. You were safe. Goddamn. That word again. Safe. Stable. Predictable. I'd built her a life, poured concrete with my own hands, worked double shifts, sat through preschool concerts and dentist appointments and birthday parties at trampoline parks, and it all came down to safe. She tried to talk that night. Said she was confused. That life is complicated. That feelings don't always make sense. I just stared at her. You made your choice. I said. You just never had the guts to admit it. She cried. Said she never meant to hurt me. That she loved me. Still loved me. I shook my head. No, Tara. You loved what I gave you. The house. The kids. The normalcy. But your heart? That was never mine. The next morning, I started packing. She didn't stop me. Didn't beg. Just sat on the edge of the bed and cried into her hands. I called a buddy who worked in real estate. Got the ball rolling on a rental. Called the lawyer back. Said it was time. But before I left, I made one last move. I wrote her a letter. It said, I hope he was worth it. I hope he looks at you at 3 a.m., the way I did when the kids cried. I hope he holds your hair when you get sick. I hope he scrapes ice off your windshield and fills your gas tank before work. I hope he remembers your doctor appointments and your favorite takeout. Because I did. Every single time. And it still wasn't enough. I left it on her pillow. And I walked out of the house we built together, into the world I'd have to rebuild on my own. There's a strange kind of silence when you leave a place that used to hold your entire world. I moved into a rental 2 blocks over. Close enough to stay in the kids' lives, far enough to stop smelling her perfume on my pillow. The place was small, just 2 bedrooms and a creaky floor, but it was mine. The walls didn't lie to me. The closet didn't hide secrets. I spent the first night sitting on a lawn chair in the living room, drinking cheap beer and listening to the quiet. No bedtime stories. No dishwasher humming. No fake apologies. Just peace. And grief. People think heartbreak is loud. It's not. It's that whisper in your chest that says, you weren't enough. The kids took it hard. Of course they did. Caleb cried when I told him. Said, but we're still a family, right? I nodded. Always. Just, in a different shape now. Josie didn't understand. She kept asking when Mommy and Daddy were going to stop playing houses. That one broke me. Tara? She stayed composed. Too composed. Like she'd been rehearsing for this moment her whole life. She said all the right things. We'll co-parent with love. This doesn't change how we feel about you. Your dad is still your hero. But her eyes were somewhere else. Still chasing Danny's shadow. 3 weeks later, I found out he moved to our town. She told me like it was nothing. We were doing the handoff at the school, her in yoga pants, me in work boots. The usual awkward ritual. Oh, she said, barely meeting my eyes. Danny's living here now. Took a job at the dealership. Thought I should tell you before the kids mentioned it. I blinked. You mean before they see him at your house? She didn't answer. Didn't have to. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing him at my dinner table. Sitting in my chair. Tucking my daughter into bed with a smile that wasn't earned. I thought about sending a message. Warning him. Telling him exactly what kind of mess he was stepping into. But I didn't. Because this wasn't about him anymore. It was about me. Who I was going to be after this. I poured myself into work. Took on every overtime offer. Fixed fences. Built decks. Framed 3 houses in 2 months. My hands stayed busy, even if my heart hadn't caught up yet. Then something strange started happening. People reached out. Men I hadn't talked to in years. Hey man. I heard. I'm so sorry. She always seemed distracted. My brother went through the same thing. If you need to talk. My ex pulled that too. Turns out, they'd been DMing for years. And the messages kept coming. At first, I thought they were just being nice. But then I realized something bigger. I wasn't alone. There are 1,000 guys like me out there. Who married women still writing love letters to ghosts. Who built futures on foundations already cracked by memory. Who became collateral damage in someone else's unfinished story. I didn't cry much anymore. That surprised me. But what hit me hardest? Sunday mornings? We used to make pancakes. She'd dance barefoot, flour on her cheek, the kids laughing at the dog stealing bacon. Now? Silence. Just me. And the memory of what we used to be. Then came the knock. I was fixing Josie's dollhouse when I heard it. 3 short taps. Soft. I opened the door. Tara stood there. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Hoodie and jeans. She looked tired. I didn't know where else to go, she said. I didn't say anything. Just stepped aside. She sat on the couch, hugged her knees. He's not who I thought he was, she whispered. I waited. He doesn't see me. Not like you did. I leaned back against the wall. So now you want to come back? Tears welled in her eyes. I don't know. I thought he was the missing piece. And? He's not. I nodded. I was never missing, Tara. I was standing right beside you the whole time. You just stopped looking. She stayed for 2 hours that night. Talked about the dreams she'd had. The guilt. The regret. How she couldn't sleep in our old bed because it still smelled like me. How Danny had already pulled away now that he had her. How she realized he wasn't the fantasy she'd clung to, just a memory in high school clothes that didn't fit anymore. She cried. A lot. And for the first time in months. I didn't. I just sat there. Steady. Because I'd already done all my grieving. She asked if I ever thought about trying again. You mean us? I asked. She nodded. We had something real, Brian. I looked at her, really looked. At the woman I married. And the stranger who broke my heart. Then I said something I never thought I'd be strong enough to say. We had something real. But then you handed it to someone else and called it closure. She flinched. I spent years giving you every piece of me, Tara. I carried us through miscarriages, job losses, family drama, everything. And you still looked back. I didn't mean to fall for him again, she whispered. That's the problem. You never stopped. She got quiet then. Sat there wringing her hands, eyes red, waiting for me to fold. But I didn't. Because the truth is, once trust is gone, everything that rests on it collapses. And I wasn't about to rebuild on ashes. I forgive you, I said finally. Her eyes shot up. But I don't want you back. She left without another word. And the moment the door clicked shut behind her, I finally exhaled. It didn't feel like losing. It felt like freedom. The months after that were slow but steady. I focused on the kids. On my work. On therapy. Yeah, I said it. Therapy. Turns out talking to someone who isn't your drinking buddy is useful. I unpacked a lot of things. Not just the betrayal, but the years leading up to it. The way I let myself settle. The way I mistook loyalty for love. The way I clung to happy family when the foundation had already cracked. And slowly, I got better. More honest. With myself. With the people around me. With the man I was becoming. Then one day, Caleb asked me if I'd ever be with someone again. I was chopping vegetables. Nearly sliced my thumb. Why? I asked, grinning. You already trying to get rid of me? He laughed. No, you're always alone now. I thought about that. Because at first, the silence felt like a punishment. But lately? It felt like peace. I'm not alone, I told him, ruffling his hair. I've got you guys. He smiled. Still, I think some lady's gonna want you. You're like Dad Handsome. Dad Handsome? I laughed. That's the worst compliment I've ever gotten. Don't worry, he said. It means rugged. I didn't go looking for someone else. But someone found me anyway. Her name was Ellie. School counselor. Divorced. Had a dog that hated everyone except me. Met her during Josie's parent-teacher conference. She was kind. Sharp. Asked about me instead of just small talk. Didn't flinch when I told her my story. Just nodded and said, well, damn. She really fumbled a good man. I didn't fall hard. Not this time. I took it slow. Careful. But I laughed again. Slept better. Ate real food. Danced in the kitchen once, for the first time in years. The kids liked her. And more importantly, I liked who I was around her. I don't know what Tara's up to now. I stopped checking. Last I heard, Danny left town. Again. She's still in the house. The one I built. The one I painted. The one I paid for while she texted someone else across the table. But that's not my home anymore. Home is wherever my kids are. Where I'm respected. Seen. Chosen. There's a saying I heard once on a job site. The wind don't break the tree. It just shows you which way it was leaning. After everything, I wasn't broken. Just better at seeing the truth. A year passed. 12 full months since I walked out of that house and chose myself for the first time in a decade. Josie's missing front teeth are in a little box on my dresser. Caleb started middle school and won second place in a science fair for building a miniature hydraulic bridge. I helped him cut the wood. And Ellie? She's still here. She fits into our chaos like she was always meant to be part of it. One Saturday, I took the kids to the park. Let them run wild while I sat on a bench, sipping bad coffee and watching the leaves fall. Tara showed up. Not planned. Not expected. Just appeared. She walked over slowly, hands in pockets. The wind caught her hair and for a second, it was like we were back in 2011 and she was still mine. Hey, she said. Hey. We stood in silence for a while, watching Josie chase Caleb around a jungle gym like it was life or death. Then she said it. You seem happy. I nodded. I am. She looked down at her shoes. I miss them. You see them every week. She nodded. It's not the same. You know that. I didn't respond. I messed up, Brian, she whispered. I thought. I thought he was the missing piece. I turned to her. You had all the pieces. You just didn't want to build the same picture as me. She wiped at her cheek. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. I just want you to know that you were always the better man. Even when I didn't deserve it. That was the first thing she'd said in years that felt completely honest. And I said the one thing she probably never expected. I hope you find peace, Tara. Not revenge. Not rage. Not bitterness. Just release. Because that's what healing looks like. Later that night, Josie climbed into my lap, asked if she could stay up late to finish her drawing. What are you making? I asked. It's our family, she said proudly. You, me, Caleb, and Ellie. I made Ellie a superhero cape 'cause she's awesome. I laughed. That's fair. She handed me a crayon. Can you draw yourself? I took it. And for the first time in a long time, I knew exactly what I looked like. Not just a husband. Not just a dad. Not a backup plan. But a man who survived betrayal. A man who rebuilt. A man who never let someone else's indecision define his worth. So here's what I'll leave you with. If someone loves a ghost from their past more than the life you're building together, let them go. Don't fight for a seat at a table you built, just to be served scraps. Don't compete with a fantasy. Be the man who stays when things get hard, but also be the man who walks when respect leaves the room. Because in the end, loyalty's only noble when it's mutual. And now I sleep just fine. If you've ever been in a relationship where someone preferred fantasy over reality, share your story in the comments. And if you know someone who needs this kind of clarity, share this story with them. Did you like this story? Subscribe to hear more stories about betrayal, survival, and new beginnings, because rock bottom is the best place to build something real. Stay strong, stay smart, and stay standing.